What's up, everybody? It's your girl TK, and we are here. I am so excited about being here tonight. Grab your friends, grab your neighbors, tap somebody, and let them know that we are here. And I am so grateful for you all who will continue to jump on in and join me. I'm excited tonight because there's something I'm going to be sharing about, and I just wanted to ensure that we are all aware of how to advocate for ourselves as we round out Q4. Can you believe that it is already December? I am so happy to announce that we made it. So congratulations to each and every one of you who are here. You have made it successfully to the month of December. And while it is cold outside, we can be warmed by the thought that we have yet another opportunity. So I want to go ahead and jump in to this particular podcast. And I want to have you all to like, share, and love. We're going to be talking about overcoming this barrier of self-sabotage. And I want to really dive deep into this tonight. And I want to have a conversation regarding self-advocacy and having the courage to rise. Rise for whom? Rise for yourself. So many times we are inflicting pain on ourselves because we refuse to take the same courage that we use for others and use it to elevate who we are, where we are, and the tables that we have been invited to. I do not want us to go into Q1 2026 if the Lord delays his coming and allows us to live. I do not want us going into 2026 with the mentality of self-sabotage. So tonight, it is my responsibility. Listen, I take so seriously what I do here on this podcast, and I take it as a deep responsibility to go into the psychology behind why we hold ourselves back. I want you to know I am happy for those of you who are coming in. Please feel free to share in the comments. I am Dr. TK Carter, and I want you all to join in the conversation as to why we hold ourselves back and looking really intently at how comparison fuels this level of anxiety that we have, and why shrinking our brilliance leads to unnecessary depression. There are so many things that we cause upon ourselves that are so unnecessary. And so tonight, I want to unpack the quiet ways that we sabotage our own success and the powerful shift that begins to happen when we finally say yes to self-advocacy over self-doubt. So if you've ever minimized who you are, if you've ever minimized your wins, if you've ever questioned your worth or talked yourself out of opportunities that you have prayed for, this is a podcast for you. So if it's for you and you know someone else who is dealing with the same, please tap them on the virtual shoulder, get them here. And I want to ensure that we are together in this. What we're going to do tonight is talk about ways, we can elevate ourselves. And I want to be very clear here, and I want to pause and say that I have missed out on so many personal opportunities. Let me talk about myself, Lady Jenny. Let me share this with you as you are tuning in and getting others to share this particular podcast. I've missed out on so many opportunities because I did not feel as though I was worthy or worth it. Can you imagine God opening doors for you, answering prayers for you, and when the opportunity presents itself, you dim your light, you step in the background, and you know what I have even done? I have even created space for others who were not even as qualified to do the job that I gave away. Now, I know that may sound somewhat conceited, but I'm going to tell you out of a level of self-confidence, I have given away opportunities that I've prayed for, because when the opportunity then was presented to me, I did not feel as though I could handle the opportunity. So I want us tonight to break free. Hey, my friend Carla, yes, let's break free from patterns that keep us small and limited. You need to learn tonight. Listen, I have learned how to advocate for myself with clarity and confidence. I have learned how to reframe my thinking and align who I am right now with my future self. Now, I just said something really great right there. There are so many journals that we have. I have tons and tons of journals, and I still happen to write on the back of envelopes, but that's besides the point. Here's the thing. I have tons of journals. I have tons of ideas in those journals. I have aligned those journals with my future self. However, because I have thought too small of who I am, where I am, when I am there, I've never aligned what's on paper with what I can see myself as in the future. So we need to reframe that level of thinking and step into a season where self-sabotage is no longer your script, but your purpose starts to honor who you have been created to not just be, but to become. So tonight's episode is really an honest insight and a reminder that our future self is awaiting us. And so I want you all to lean in, because it's about breaking your own barrier. Can you imagine being chained, not by someone else? Just think about it for a moment. You are locked inside of your own thoughts. No one else is controlling the space. No one else is controlling the chain. No one else is controlling your decision making. You are the person who create the barrier. Isn't that something? We have quiet battles because we ourselves are high achievers. Let me tell you, self-sabotagers are usually high achievers. Listen to me. Quiet battles of self-sabotage usually happen between persons who are leaders and everyday people who know how to get the job done. They very rarely speak about self-sabotage because they often know how to cover and make excuses for why they have sabotaged themselves. Listen to this. Self-sabotage is not procrastination. No, that's another topic for another day. It's not even perfectionism. It is a psychological pattern that is rooted in identity. Oh, yes. Persons who live inside of self-sabotage often have misplaced identity, and they confuse who they are with false humility. That's rooted in fear and rejection. The reason why I learned about myself that self-sabotage was so easy, it kept me from being rejected. I knew that if I did not have to ask for the opportunity, I would never have to deal with the rejection. I knew that if I just did not apply for the next role, I wouldn't have to deal with somebody telling me they found another candidate. It's often rooted in fear. And the fear of rejection controls how we say we're being humble. Now, listen, I understand this is heavy. This is heavy because, listen, you have to deal with yourself when you talk about self-sabotage. It's defined as acting against one's own goals despite knowing better. You know better. You know you can take the role. You know you can go to school. You know you can write the book. But because you are afraid of failure, which is not who you are, it's just a part of the process. It's a part of the process. I'm going to say that one more time. It is inevitably a part of the process. Failure is not a person. Failure is an event. So when you start to self-sabotage, you act against your own goals and your own self, and you know better. So self-sabotage emerges when our subconscious beliefs cannot reconcile with our conscious ambitions. Again, your beliefs do not align with what you have on paper. Your beliefs that you know that you can go after does not align with your future ambition. So for many of us, the gap between who we have been and who we are becoming feels so wide. It feels so broad. It feels so far away. This is the gap. And because it feels so wide, we unconsciously pull ourselves back to what is familiar. Listen, you're standing on the shoreline, fully equipped, fully dressed in all of your scuba diving gear, and you're standing on the sideline looking at a canoe, and you never will jump in the water. You know why? Because you are afraid. Subconsciously, something has told you that it's not worth going into the waters of discovery. And so this is where we have these subtle behaviors, and we talk ourselves into and out of things by saying this phrase, I'm not ready for that just yet. All of that starts to creep in, and when it sits in, it stands up, and it speaks louder than who you know you are. And let me tell you something. Academically, research on cognitive dissonance shows us that new opportunities challenge our internal script. So when we have programmed ourselves to believe the opposite of who we are, and new challenges that come along, there's a tug of war. Listen, we have defaulted to old habits. Why? It keeps us safe. But when you stay safe, you also stay small. Oh, I'm going to say that one more time. You're trying to keep yourself safe. But what you really don't understand is that locked in your safety of self-sabotage is smallness. So this becomes very dangerous when it begins to impact our self-identity and our sense of who we are. So when we repeatedly talk ourselves down and we hesitate to advocate for our own needs, or we minimize our own strengths, we create cognitive patterns that reinforce unworth and unworthiness. So listen to this. Neuroscience tells us that the brain's neural pathways strengthens with repetition. All that means is that the more you do it, the better it becomes a part of you. The more it becomes a part of you, that practice, it limits self-doubt, and it starts to automatically lift the fact that if you're practicing something that keeps you moving and keeps you going, we cannot practice self-limiting thinking and think we're going to rise above that. Whatever you do repetitiously becomes a part of who you are. It's very automatic when you keep downing yourself. So now when an opportunity presents itself, no matter what environment it presents itself in, guess what? Because you practice self-limiting thinking, your automatic response is self-limited. I'm going to tell you something. I'm not excited about this because it's about self-sabotage. I'm excited because I'm letting you know how to identify it. That's the real reason we're here tonight. It's to identify it first and foremost, so that over time, the kind of internal dialogue won't affect your mind. Because if it affects your mind, it begins to affect your mental health. Many people experience anxiety because their internal expectations and their external reality are in constant conflict. You feel pulled between wanting more and fearing what more demands of you. You want more, but you fear what the more demands of you. So instead of taking the leap, taking the chance, taking the risk on the more, you pull yourself back to what is familiar because your internal expectation and your external reality is in constant conflict when you are consistent in tearing yourself apart, limiting your thinking. So you keep saying what you want more of, but you're not willing to take on the demand of the more. And so what does this start to do? You start looking around left to right. You're scrolling up and down, left to right, up and down. And you start to intensify this tension with what? Comparison. When you sabotage yourself, you start interpreting other people's success as your proof of inadequacy. And you're not even inadequate. Outside of your possibilities, you start comparing yourself to what's not even in competition with you. And then you say, Tracy, you start to say, I'm inadequate. Oh my goodness. And listen, you all, when you're sabotaging yourself and you're interpreting someone else's success as your proof, as your receipt of inadequacy, rather than your evidence of possibility, this becomes breeding ground for, listen to this now, unnecessary depression. That's catastrophic. And it's almost oxymoronic. Because if you adequately are equipped and you keep saying that you are inadequate because of the limited thought process that you have, and you are in the tug of war with yourself, it's unnecessary anxiety and unnecessary depression. This creates chronic self-minimization. You're going to always be in self-denial. Nothing is ever going to be your fault or your responsibility, because you are going to become burnt out, listen to this, from an emotional exhaustion because you are fighting an invisible, like a totally non-existent battle with yourself. Can you imagine? Let me just pause here and welcome those on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Thank you so much for joining tonight. We're talking about overcoming self-sabotage by identifying exactly what it is. And I just want to start segueing as we funnel this conversation down this evening. One major antibiotic or antidote to self-sabotage is strengthening self-advocacy. Let me be clear here. You must understand that there is a difference in self-advocacy and conceit. It's not arrogance. It's an emotional intelligence that has been executed. It's the practice of speaking up for who you are, for speaking up for your needs, owning your own achievements, setting your own boundaries, affirming your value with clarity. And let me tell you something. Everything you do should appreciate the space. What do I mean by that? Wherever you step, wherever you go, the value of that space should automatically rise. It should automatically appreciate. When they put a new home in an old neighborhood, it automatically appreciates the value of the homes around it. When you walk into any space with emotional intelligence in action, you should automatically raise the value of that space. So, from an academic lens, and listen, I have to share this. This was a part of my dissertation. So, I want to tell you that self-advocacy helps us to align the concept of self-efficacy. This is helping us come out of burnout by believing that you can produce desired outcomes. When you advocate for yourself, you reinforce a sense of agency. You become an agent to yourself, just like you are an agent of self-sabotage. Do you see how this works when you actually switch the terms and you, instead of sabotaging, you advocate for yourself? This is a belief that you can produce outcomes. When you advocate for yourself, the agency of who you are becomes the antidote to helplessness and powerlessness and internalized doubt. Can we just leave doubt of ourselves in 2025? Can we leave it at this day and time? Can we leave it right here and right now? Because we can no longer avoid self-advocacy. You fear being too confident or too assertive. And I'm going to tell you who this really, truly affects. A lot of female leaders and women of color and individuals conditioned to equate humility with invisibility. What we often forget, Melody and Carla and Miranda, listen to what we as women, and especially women of color, when we forget that advocating for yourself is not a betrayal of humility, but it's a practice of truth, you start to fulfill your purpose. This is not about silencing your potential. You must overcome self-sabotage. And that requires learning to interrupt the narrative that you have going on with yourself. You're not too much. You're not just small. One of the most effective strategies supported by cognitive behavioral research is self-reframing. And tonight, Waynell, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to reframe who we are. It's going to be an intentional replacement of distorted thinking with grounded, empowering truth. And instead of saying, I always mess things up, you're going to shift. Like, we're not going to have a mindset. That's the problem. Our minds are too set. We are set in our thinking. We need a mind shift, like into another gear. Instead of saying, I mess things up, you're going to continue now to say, I'm learning. Growing is the new ground. It's the new norm for me. This is where growth takes place. That can be somebody's tagline, Dr. Lewis. This is the place of growth. Many of you are incubated in your own thoughts of self-sabotage. But tonight, we are going to reframe and we're going to anchor ourselves into saying, listen, it might not have been the best job, but I showed up fully. And I'm proud of that. Darissa, over time, you're going to be reframing so much, it's going to teach your brain how to interpret challenges as opportunities instead of threats. When you do a SWOT analysis on yourself, you need to ask yourself, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are my opportunities? What are my threats? Your threat should not be you. My goodness. We have to align our identity with what we have on our paper. Raquel, when you intentionally define who you want to be, not who you have been, your choices began to align with the forward focus identity. Now listen, Melody, I have to leave us now. I really don't want to, but I feel like somebody understands tonight. Lady McCoy, we understand that self-sabotage thrives in a silent space. You understand this because you understand the arena of counseling. And anything that becomes a pattern has a behavior that's attached to it. Listen, patterns always dictate behavior. So it's important for us to understand that because self-sabotage thrives in a silent place, the less we talk about what we want, the easier it is to quiet our voices. It keeps us quiet. That's why tonight I am calling forth the cultivating voice. We must be now the community of accountability. We must be mentors for ourselves. We need supportive peers. You need to be okay with asking for feedback so that you can move forward freely. And from a perspective of social psychology, we are wired for co-regulation. We grow in environments that mirror possibility. So if you can just stand the test of time, take a little bit of rejection, but understand that I showed up fully. See, that's the reframe. I may have been rejected, but I fully showed up. I gave everything that I had, and I will continue to do so. That's not fear any longer. That's self-advocacy. Surround yourself with people who will at least clap for you, even when they're not making moves. Now, that's another topic for another day. You are more likely to develop internal scripts that support rather than sabotage your progress when you surround yourself with like-minded individuals. I always tell you all, you have to think up. You have to talk up. There's no reason in you talking down and linear. Finally, I'm going to close with this, and I promise this time. I got to get out of here. You cannot heal self-sabotage by punishing yourself for mistakes, failures, things that don't work out. You heal when you stay curious, when you keep saying, what else can I do to become better? Oh my goodness, you all. Can I tell you how excited I am for all of us who will take this and embrace this tonight and really start to understand what fear is this pattern protecting me from? What part of me does not believe I deserve success? What old story? I mean, you all, fear is rooted in these old stories that we are loyal to. When you start asking these questions, why am I still attached to the old? Yes, it was a rejection then, but why not try again? Go back, try again. When you begin moving from survival to expansion, you began practicing the kind of self-advocacy that honors your calling and not your fear. So as I go, I just love you all. You all keep me so motivated. as I go, I want to share this with you. Please give yourself the permission to grow. Grow up. I don't care how old you are. Like, I just got mad. Grow up. Grow up. Put some command in your voice. Put some pep in your step. Give yourself permission to be cultivated, planted, not buried. You're not buried, you're planted. Give yourself permission to be planted and cultivated and rewired. You're not weird, you're wired that way. You are wired to reframe. Give yourself that permission to start conquering and stop comparing. Comparison looks harmless on the surface. A scroll, a glance, a quick thought, oh, I should be further than I am right now. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to drain who you are and the confidence. It distorts your identity, and it is so exhausting. When you keep comparing your life and your progress, you create internal pressure. Your mind and your body are never designed to carry that kind of weight. So instead of working from a grounded place of purpose, comparison makes you work from a place of proving, not purpose. I have to prove to everyone now that this is who I am. You don't have to prove purpose. Proving you're worthy, capable, relevant, enough, that's too much pressure. You know what? You all keep saying you're triggered. You're triggering yourself. You are your own trigger. Can I tell you that? Let me say that. Your trigger. Nothing is triggering you. You are triggering you. Perfectionism, predictor of a burnout. You are the trigger. Stop comparing yourself and interrupting your ability to rest and think, because you cannot replenish what you're constantly judging. And that's you. You can't be replenished when you're consistent in judging who you are. You have to stop downplaying your wins. You need to push harder. Keep showing up. Grow up and stay in your lane. Start chasing outcomes. Lord, I had to take a breath. Comparison, listen, it'll just keep convincing you that you're behind. And you're competing with things that are not in competition with you. I'm going to share this story with you really quickly. Joel Osteen tells a story about how he was jogging one day in the park. Listen to this. Listen to this. He's jogging, and a person behind him is also jogging in the park, just moving along. And because he hears the footsteps of the other jogger, he starts running faster, trying to outrun someone who has in their earbuds and got their mind on something completely different, not even worried about a Joel Osteen running beside him or running with him. Guess what? Joel Osteen tells the story and shares that he ran 10 miles out of the way, running against something that was not racing against him. You are taking yourself out of the way to prove purpose, when all you have to do is stay at your unique pace that God has unequivocally designed you for. Now, I want you all to grab your notebooks, get your life, as they say, and let us advocate for who we are in God, who He has designed us to be. Self-sabotage may have been your pattern before you heard this. but it is not your identity. So the moment you start to choose the truth of self-advocacy over the fear that comes with self-sabotage and unnecessary anxiety, which now creates depression, this is where you step into a life where your confidence, honey, is no longer an apology. You have the power. You are living evidence that you can believe in who you are and who you have always been created to be. Well, my friends, tonight, this has been so special. I am so happy that you decided to join me. And thank you all once again, those of you who joined me on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn tonight. I really appreciate you. Thank you for following me. Thank you so much for engaging in this platform and in this conversation. Share this with someone who you feel may need it. And I want to hear from you how you will continue to reframe and how that reframing has helped you to move from self-sabotage to self-advocacy. Until next time, my friends, thank you so much for joining. I'll see you at another time.